So with that, I will call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Sequoia Community College District. Today is Monday, March 10th. And for the first item, we do have a closed session reportable action, which is based upon the recommendation of the Superintendent President. The board had a roll call vote and voted unanimously to release the fire technology coordinator from his appointment as an educational administrator, effective at the end of the business day on June 30th, 2025. With that, we'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Lane.
You will join me in the salute to our flag. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Public comment. Per Board Policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time, either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum time of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. I'd like to invite anyone who wishes to speak, make public comment concerning items on the agenda. I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to make public comment concerning items not on the agenda. Okay, moving on to board executive staff reports. Mr. Shirk, student trustee report.
On March 18th, 19th, and 21st, COS will host the highly anticipated Grad Fest on all three campuses. Students can purchase their cap and gown, register for commencement 2025, enjoy a treat, decorate their grad caps, and get their photo taken. Again, that was for all three campuses. More specifically, we'll move into Hanford highlights here. March 18th through the 20th, Midterm Mayhem will take place on the Hanford campus, coinciding with Grad Fest on March 18th. Students will have the opportunity to participate in a variety of activities, enjoy snacks, and take a fun break from their studies. From the Police Academy, at the end of January 2025, the CA Post Quality Assessment Program, QAP, conducted an audit of our PC 832 Laws of Arrest and Control course at the COS Police Academy. This audit is designed to evaluate post-certified training, providing both post and course presenters with recommendations for course design and delivery. Instructor ratings fall into 4 categories: unacceptable, needs improvement, meet standards, and above standard. With 2 separate reports, 18 rating blocks in total, we are proud to report that all 18 were rated above standard. More information may be found at the Post website, post.ca.gov. In February, the COS Hanford campus hosted its annual pet drive in support of Kings County Animal Services. Thanks to the generosity of our students, we collected an impressive 192 items. A heartfelt thank you to our faculty instructor, Dr. Heather Moore, for her continuous encouragement and dedication in motivating her students to get involved. COS Paramedic Programs Cohort 2 will begin on June 17th, 2025. Moving on to Tulare. On March 1st, COS Tulare hosted the Western Regional Dairy Challenge and debuted COS's very first dairy team. 3 members from the dairy team were part of the first place teams for this event as well. Congratulations to the COS dairy team. On March 2nd, a team of COS Ag students competed at the Cal Competition Quiz Bowl at Modesto Junior College. COS placed 3rd overall. Congrats to this excellent team. For March 3rd through 5th, Midterms Madness was held on the COS Tulare campus. Each day was filled with an activity or event where students could grab goodie bags, Scantrons, snacks, and interact with the farm animals on campus. For Visalia, each Wednesday in February, our A2 Men Club provided free and delicious Southern cooking for any students who would participate in Black History and Culture Trivia. The month ended with a food, volleyball, and cornhole day on February 28th in the Visalia Quad. 24 student club officers attended the February Interclub Council meeting hosted by Student Senate, where student input is received and ongoing training and collaboration is fostered. These concerns and suggestions can then be brought to the body as well as the academic and district governance senates. Student Senate President Marcus Anderson presided over a Student Senate meeting in late February where the public comment portion of the agenda included spirited and passionate sharing by a number of students. Student President Anderson did an outstanding job of maintaining decorum and respect while welcoming varying viewpoints. And that concludes mine.
Much.
Sorry, that was kind of a long one.
Sorry, that was great. You're organized.
Any questions for Mr. Shirt?
I can see why he wants to be in the curriculum, I mean, in this area he's headed to,
Thank you, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Moving on to board member reports, trustee Sherman.
Just report that I'm on that golf committee that's raising, every year that raises money for the athletic department, and I think we're pretty much sold out of teams already for this year. And it's April 25th, though.
Nothing particular, although I would mention that, and President Calvin can correct me if I'm wrong, that I see that, I know you'll probably talk about our ladies' basketball team, but did I see where our softball team had a victory over the #1 team in Northern California?
Yes, Saturday morning, they beat West Valley. They didn't just beat them, they beat them 10-2, the #1 team in the state, so that was great. And then came back and had a little closer game against College of the Canyons in the afternoon, but we still pulled that off as well. So, yeah, they're rolling. That's all I have.
Trustee Lane.
Trustee Nunes, we've been attending the playoff games, and I'm sure, Brent, you'll talk about that in your comments.
Well, I have to, if you're both going to put the
Yes,
pressure on me.
that's right. We're pushing it on to you.
Yes.
Once again, just well played and good representation, excellent representation of the college in terms of the ability to play the game athletically and also just the way they handled themselves on the court, including all the coaching staff as well. And the other thing is, I'm sure Dr. Lacerna will talk about it in her comments, but attended a very brief introductory meeting for the accreditation review team, or with that team as they kicked off today. So excellent job in preparation from the college standpoint. I think that's it.
Trustee Diaz.
Yes, thank you so much. So, since our last board meeting, I've had I've had the opportunity to attend a few COS events and meetings to see the great work that's been done by our students and our staff. So I was able to, attend the International Ag Farm Show, and I was able to stop by the COS Ag Committee's food booth and meet everybody and say hello to the staff and the faculty and students who were there serving up some very delicious food. And I also went by the Ag Club's, the table, the booth that we had with the other, along with the other institutions that were there. And so I was able to see their great leadership they were doing to promote our ag industry as a great choice of study. For the COS women's and men's basketball, has been able to also watch them. But I'll leave all the great things for you to say.
That's 3 people in a row. You got to put the
But
pressure
I
on
wanted,
me.
I wanted to congratulate our men's basketball team for a great season, and of course our women's team. They're just kicking butt, right? And so I've been able to, watch them, along with the. Let me see. I would like to note that there's a number of our women's team that were recognized for their outstanding play, including Jocelyn Medina and Morgan Triguero as co-MVPs. So congratulations to them, as well as our coach, Tyler Newton, as Coach of the Year. Let me see what else. And I was also very excited to visit with the Women in Ag Club, Student Ag, and also the Student Ag Advisory Committee. So I really appreciate the advisors and the student leaders who afforded me the opportunity to say hello and introduce myself. Let me see. I also was able to. I had a great opportunity to attend the lecture by the vice chairman of the Tachi Yokuts tribe, Robert Jeff. on the Native American history in the area through the Tulare Lake Past, Present, and Future Speaker Series, which was great. It was an amazing turnout. Let me see. And also wanted to, a couple of remarks in regards to outside of that, so about the potential impact of, our U.S. Department of Education. So last month, I remember sharing my concerns about the news from Washington regarding the possibility of dismantling the U.S. Department of Education. And so now that the new Secretary of Education has been confirmed and President has asked her to begin the process, I'm even more concerned about what that could mean for our students. Specifically, I'm thinking about those who rely on federal financial aid and the protections currently in place for those students, like our veterans and also our LGBTQ students as well. And so I know that, through your leadership, we've done very good about making sure that all our students, are taken well care of. So I look forward to, your leadership in navigating this moving forward. But I think it's important that we stay informed as well and prepared as this situation unfolds. And then lastly, celebrating International Women's History Month. I want to take a moment to recognize March as International Women's Month, where we join the world in celebrating the amazing contributions, achievements, and history that women have made in all sectors of society, including higher education. So here at CUS, we are very fortunate to have so many women making a daily difference for our students. So thank you to each woman here. Your contributions are appreciated. Happy History Month. You are welcomed. You are appreciated. You are honored. So thank you so much. And so women provided tremendous leadership in our administration, services, and teaching. We all agree we are a better college because of their involvement in our mission to provide the best higher education possible. And that is all.
I just wanted to take a moment to commend our leadership team, our PIO. We had an incident or an alert on campus, and having background training in PIO and those type of incidents, I think our leadership team conducted themselves very well in communicating with staff, students, as well as the community. So I do appreciate. I know it must have been a stressful time, but I appreciate the extra effort to make sure it went well. So thank you very much. The only other event I want to report on is attending the presentation by Dr. Calvin at Woodlake Unified. I always appreciate the opportunity for COS to present to their school board updates about not only what to look forward when their students come to COS, but also how their students are doing and just, the progress we're making to make sure that the resources they need to be successful are available in their community. So again, I look forward to the ones for the rest of my district in Farmersville, Cutler, Rosie, and Visalia. And yeah, those usually happen in spring. This one was a little early, but I always appreciate that opportunity. So thank you very much.
I'll take that opportunity just to ask Megan, have we sent out that schedule, that grid, to all of our board members in case they want to join me at any of these? If not, we'll do that tomorrow. A lot of things going on, but normally we send out that grid, and if you're free and want to come, I do a presentation to all of our feeder district, high school districts, and try to brag about you guys while I'm there. So you're always free to join me.
Very good. Moving on to foundation report, Mr. Foster. Please join us.
Hey, if you tell me to mention women's basketball, you're going to be in trouble, man. I got the message. I got the message.
Okay, I'll leave that card down. Folks, I did want to just mention a couple events or a few events that we're going to be doing in the near future here. We have sort of a final reminder that the COS Hall of Fame is this March 21st from 5:30 to 9 o'clock at the Porter Fieldhouse. We're also in CSF celebration season, so California Scholarship Federation celebrations are something that the College of Sequoias does. The foundation facilitates them, and we host a CSF celebration in Tulare, one in Hanford, and one in Visalia. And this is to celebrate the high school seniors that have earned their lifetime membership into the California Scholarship Federation. And so the program is simply a luncheon, having them come up on stage and introduce themselves and tell us if they were the captain of the basketball team or whatever, and their choice for school that they're going to be attending, their major, and perhaps their career aspiration, and thanking their parents, hopefully, along the way. So it's a great program. It's a great community event, and we have 3 of them coming up. I have them on this card here. We have Tulare on April 8th. They're all from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Tulare CSF celebration is April 8th at the Tulare Veterans Memorial Building. Visalia CSF is on April 22nd at the Visalia Convention Center, and the Hanford CSF is on April 24th at the Hanford Civic Auditorium. Okay.
Questions for Mr. Foster?
Tim, I know this is not necessarily your area, but you know everything about what's going on campus. The theater department,
Yes.
Shrek,
Yes, sir.
that's coming up, right?
Yes.
That is part of my report.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll leave that to President Calvin. He's got the
Okay.
dates in front of him and the times and everything, I'm sure. But yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. I do have one other thing that I want to mention, just because tomorrow we have 2 new fund committees that are having their initial meeting. It's the Business Fund and the Science Fund Committee. That rounds out the 8 funds that the foundation has created, and they're essentially endowment funds, mimicking how a university breaks up its administration of a university in the form of colleges. So the School of Medicine and Fine Arts, we have these 8 funds, and we've been forming them a couple each year. And now we are finishing that up with our 7th and 8th fund, the Business and Science Fund. And we have 4 members on one group, plus a couple of board members, and 3 outside volunteers, and a couple of board members for each. So we're just adding more and more people that are becoming advocates for us in the community, and focusing that advocacy in certain areas of affinity for the college.
Tim, I'd just like to just thank you and your board for putting on these CSF luncheons. It falls into the category of, there's not a lot of return for us. These cost money, and it's a lot of time and effort on your part and that of your staff. But, if we're not going to celebrate higher ed in this region, who will? And it's really amazing to be in these, especially in Tulare. Hanford's a little bit smaller, but Tulare's fairly large, and then Visalia, we fill up the entire convention center with students and their parents, and it really is a nice time to celebrate education, and it wouldn't happen without you and your staff, so thank you.
Thank you, yes. We've enjoyed them. We've been doing it for years now. We will have 180 or so in Hanford. We'll have 200 between students and family and community members. We'll have 200 at the Tulare Veterans Memorial Building, and we will have more than 600 at the Visalia Convention Center Exhibit Hall. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you.
This time I'd like to invite Dr. Lacerna for the accreditation report.
I can start with basketball and Shrek if you'd like. But if not, I'll start with accreditation, because we started I guess we could say we kind of kicked off the season last week. We got our first set of questions from the team asking us to follow up and provide some additional information. And then today, as I think all of you know, we had, first, as Board Member Lane mentioned, we had a pre-meeting with the 3 vice presidents and Dr. Calvin, and Board Member Lane joined us with our team. And so we were able to meet with them, talk through kind of what the next few weeks are going to look like, and just get to know them a little bit, which several of them we already knew, and we're excited they're our team, and we're looking forward to working with them. Followed by 2 p.m., we had an open forum, which none of us were invited to, but we understand there were about 55 people on the meeting, and that it sounds like it went really well. And so we're excited to have that meeting today with our team. So the team is meeting on Tuesday, the 18th, next week. they'll have their first meeting where they get together and they talk about everything. So I expect on the 18th and following, we will start getting more questions for additional information, and we'll be getting a lot of people to give us stuff to hand off to them. So that is where we are in the process. And they actually, as I mentioned last time, will visit us in the fall, but now's the pre-work. We're in what's called the new process, which is the formative summative. And so they're forming, getting all the information now, and then they visit us in the fall to just verify anything that they weren't able to verify now. So that's where we are.
Any questions for Dr. Paterno?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Calvin, Superintendent President's Report.
Thank you, President Macareno. I was going to just thank everyone that came to the public forum today. Had some feedback that it went well. Our pre-meeting meet and greet certainly went well with our little team and the visiting team. Very much in support of that process, and it seems like it's off to a very good start. Also wanted to congratulate, if you look at our consent items, we've got the personnel report, and it just talks about it shows the faculty that are receiving tenure this spring. We'll have a big celebration. President Arzola and the Academic Senate do a great job of celebrating faculty receiving tenure, but I still,
You can talk about
they
basketball.
stole my thunder, I gotta steal yours, sorry, Juan. But yeah, I mean, 11 faculty earning tenure this spring, another 15 earning their third, fourth year contracts, and another 12 earning their second year. And if you just look through that list, it's a who's who of the future of COS. It really is exciting to think that those folks are going to be here for 20 or 25 years, because we've done a solid job of hiring some real up-and-comers. So was excited just to say something about that. Yes, Shrek does, Trustee Nunes, start this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday with another matinee the following Saturday. So I think 7 shows altogether for Shrek. And you know, I'm a big fan of our theater department. They do such an amazing job. If you're not partaking, you should be, because it really is a hidden treasure here at the College of the Sequoias. And then, yes, women's basketball improved to 30-0 on Saturday night. Hard-fought game against our longtime rival, Fresno City College. They say it's nearly impossible to beat the same good team 3 times in a year. We were able to do that, but it was a real test for us. So now we advance to the Elite 8 in Southern California. We'll play Palomar College out of the San Diego region on Friday at 5 p.m. It will be live streamed. All you need to do is go to our website, cosgiants.com, go to our schedule, and then there'll be a link for live stream on that schedule. And they do a pretty good job at the state tournament of live streaming that. I'm going to get into a little more serious stuff here in a moment regarding what Trustee Diaz just brought up, because there has been some frustrating and even scary things coming out of Washington. I just want to address those briefly. But while we're on the subject of women's basketball, we had a tragedy occur. I guess it's been 3.5 weeks ago. The father of one of our best players, Morgan Triguero, she's from Carruthers. Her father passed away from a heart attack 3.5 weeks ago. She's got a fair amount of news coverage. He was just a heck of a guy, a farmer, turned stock car driver in the Carruthers area. When Morgan began her basketball career, he started coaching. He's followed her all the way up, and he was actually an assistant coach with us, primarily in charge of recruiting And it was amazing, the time and energy he put in on a volunteer basis to be recruiting. Every time I walked in that gym when there was a women's team playing, he'd come bounding over with some high school senior wanting me to meet her and talk about the benefits of coming to COS instead of some other community college. But we lost him to a heart attack. Got a call at 9 o'clock at night. He had been in actually a Carruthers basketball game because he had coached there for a long time and wasn't feeling well afterwards, and lost consciousness on the way to the emergency room and never came out of it. So we were, Coach Davis and I went to the emergency room that night, just trying to console players and coaches, and it was a sad situation. They had a funeral in Carruthers this past a week ago today, had over 600 people there. But what I wanted to get to is the single most courageous thing that I've ever seen in sports. And I just might cry, because I've cried about 15 times telling the story. But so who would expect Morgan to play the night after she lost her father? I mean, we were at the emergency room till midnight. I don't know that she slept. And the team gathered at 10 a.m. the next day because we had a game at Porterville that night, and they were trying to continue this undefeated run through the regular season. And nobody expected Morgan to play. She stayed in Carruthers with her mom, but she called the team at about 11 while they were all gathered at the coach's house and said, "Guys, I'd like to play tonight. I think we should play." And so she showed up. We didn't know this. It was a surprise to me that she was even there. We went out to the game, and she was in uniform going through the warm-ups. I thought, well, she's just going to sit on the bench and encourage her teammates. No, she went out and played, and she scored a career-high 40 points. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable to see her just focus and do that in honor of her dad. It was just an amazing thing, and one of those things where you just feel blessed to have these jobs. Just to see that kind of courage by a 20-year-old was just amazing. And got this wristband on. It's in honor of him. They gave it out at the funeral, and going to do my best to wear it as long as I can, and then maybe put it in a frame in my office, because he was a heck of a guy. He will definitely be missed. So I'd like to just share a couple of things, and because there's been so much come out of Washington, and Trustee Diaz mentioned the possible closure of the Department of Ed. I'll just say I don't know that the closure of the Department of Ed is a possibility, although that's kind of what the rhetoric and rumor has been. I think it's in statute, so it would have to be approved through Congress, that they would need 60 votes in the Senate. So that may not happen, although the fears are still valid, because I think they've talked about maybe just taking parts of the Department of Ed and splintering them off into other areas. And so our biggest concern is there's been talk about the possibility of federal financial aid leaving the Department of Ed and landing under the Department of the Treasury. And financial aid is just a very complicated business. Ask anybody in higher ed what the most complicated part of your college is, and guaranteed financial aid will land somewhere close to the top. And so to piece it off to maybe people that don't understand it, that's just a little scary for our students and us just trying to administrate that. I mean, we don't like we stay up at night worried that it'll be delayed by a few hours, that we won't be dispersing checks at 8 a.m., let alone weeks or something like that. So that is a concern that we're watching very closely. The second thing is that the federal grants and programs being either postponed, suspended, cut, or canceled. We've seen that in other areas. It's also happening in higher ed. We've never tried to be too reliant on grants, because grants come and go, and they kind of can leave you high and dry. We've learned that the hard way, and so out of a $150 million general fund and categorical budget that we operate here, give or take, only about maybe 1% of that, $1.5 million, $2 million, something like that, is federal dollars here. Again, the biggie is federal financial aid that scares us. So if you're hearing about other institutions losing big federal grants, I mean, I think Columbia University lost $400 million, if I'm not mistaken. We've insulated ourselves somewhat from that. So if that gives a bit of comfort. And then the final thing, you saw my e-news, most of you, regarding the Dear Colleague letter that came out from the Department of Ed, Office of Civil Rights. Really rough tone. Took the ruling, the Supreme Court ruling on students for fair admissions. It was a lawsuit against Harvard, admissions based on race and so forth, and Harvard lost that, and as a result, a lot of colleges had to redo the way that they structure their admissions process. Obviously, that doesn't really apply to us. We take the top 100%, and we're proud of it. But they took that ruling and tried to apply it to, at least in this letter, to a lot of different areas. The various programs we have to celebrate diversity and equity and inclusion, and of course, you know, we open it up to everybody. We don't exclude anybody with our programs. And I think that's kind of the name of the game, is that we're not going to use race as a basis for employment, admissions, scholarship, financial aid, but we should be celebrating the diversity that's found in our community college system. It really is what makes us strong. And tried to say that in my e-news, and I'll also say that the Department of Ed itself came back with some clarifications and some definitions here in the last 10 days that kind of walk back some of what was in that Dear Colleague letter, and kind of framed it a little bit differently. And so, you know, I guess just to wrap a bow around this, you guys saw how fast we moved with COVID. There's a time for, you know, just putting your head down and getting something done over a weekend. And we did that with COVID as well as anybody in our system. I think we'd all agree. When it comes to a lot of this, I don't think it's a time for knee-jerk reaction. I think it's a time to take as much information in, both externally and then also looking in the mirror and saying, okay, where are we at with this? Are we susceptible to anything here? And making good, sound, discerned decisions. And that's what we're trying to do. And I'll do my best to keep people informed. I've never read as much as I have in terms of the various groups we have that send us information. I've always been a big reader, but I've never read as much as I have recently about these issues, because it just seems like every day there's something else. But I feel really, really good about the way we operate our college and the programs and the structures we've built to celebrate all of our students. And you know, it's my guess that not a lot of that's going to change here, because I do think that we are aligned with the law, both the state, obviously, and the federal government. So since you brought it up, Trustee Diaz, I wanted to at least address that for you. So thank you very much.
So much.
Ken.
I appreciate those comments, and I think it gives us some confidence that, you know, we're kind of staying on top of things. I would say, though, that with respect to the education department, and I don't disagree with you that totally doing away with it probably not going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of, I think, I just used the term monkey wrenches thrown into the process with the, you know, the hiring of whole classes of employees, which is going to create issues for financial aid. And I think we need to be and I think we are. I think we need to be ready for whatever problems we may face with students that totally rely on that source of income. So it is a bit scary for sure. Thank you for that.
And just to give you a little context too, in a year, our students receive in total somewhere in the range of $25 million. So it's not insignificant. It's about equal to our general fund reserve. 1 year of financial aid to our students, it's a big number. So it's not something that we could just absorb because we had the heart to do it. It's a big number.
Thank you, President Dr. Calvin, for the excellent report. Appreciate it. Moving on to agenda item 7, reports, Academic Senate President's Report. Mr. Arzola.
Good evening. Thank you, Board President Macareno and Board of Trustee members, Superintendent President Dr. Calvin, and members of the gallery. Thank you. Just a real quick report. Just wanted to make sure that you all get it on your calendar, May 13th. As Dr. Calvin mentioned, the Academic Senate will be holding its Faculty Service Awards. And we want to make sure that we extend the invitation to the Board of Trustees and anybody who's willing to attend. Unfortunately, I will not be at the last Senate meeting of the year because it is my intent to be in Mississippi receiving my doctoral hood.
Let's go!
So, yeah. But nevertheless, my presence won't be there. I hope you guys, anybody willing to attend. Let me see. The other thing that I just on a personal note, just want to make mention, I appreciate the shout out for the live stream. I've been catching the games on YouTube every time that the team plays. And yeah, that game, I was watching the game, but I was watching the game in tears. Hearing about what happened. So that young lady, she's going to go places, right? And then the other thing I did want to just make a real quick mention of, I can't recall if I mentioned this in a previous report, but I've informed the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges that I will not be returning to service with them. And I plan on redirecting that energy to spend more time with my granddaughter. So that's it, y'all. Thank you.
Who could argue with that?
Any comments or questions for future Dr. Arzola?
Thank you.
I just look forward to addressing you as Dr. Arzola.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Ms. Redden for Costa President's Report.
No report today.
No report.
I did attend the basketball games. They were exciting.
Tracy has a daughter on our unbelievable dance team. And I tell you, I couldn't be prouder of our dance team and our cheer squad.
Oh, yeah, they won the national.
They're amazing, the work they do. So it's been great having you there, Tracy.
CSEA President's Report, Ms. Kane.
Good evening. First item, very quick. Just wanted to go ahead and just give our monthly update on staffing. So there's that. I do apologize. I had a crazy workload for this last week, so I was not able to format the full report, but that is just the highlights. There's no real changes since the last time we gave reports, so no worries there. The second, I would like to invite everyone to the PACE Classified and Confidential Staff Awards, Service Awards. That will be on Wednesday, March 26th in Sequoia 1. Time, it will be early afternoon. We are not positive on time. We're working out a facilities conflict with another group at the moment, but it will be Wednesday the 26th in Sequoia 1. So we encourage everyone to come celebrate. We've got a combined total of 370 years of service that we're going to be celebrating. So
Give me that date again? What?
Wednesday, March 26th.
March, okay.
Couple weeks. It's coming up fast.
We have conflict. I'm not the conflict, am I? Because I'll give you.
No, there's right now they've got it scheduled as a holding room for a student services event, so they're just trying to find a different room that we can use to hold people. And the last item I have is I just wanted to say that CSEA was very excited to see the large number of bilingual stipends approved in this month's personnel report. We really appreciate and want to acknowledge the considerable amount of work and time on the part of the district's managers and human resources department that we know went into this process to ensure that staff are adequately compensated for that translation work that they perform for the district. We know that that's not easy they had to apply for it, they had to be tested, those test results had to be examined, they had to be tracked. There was a lot of work that went into that. We very much appreciate that work from the district, and we look forward to continuing to work on clarifying details as we're sure bumps are going to come up. But so far, we've been able to get it all worked out very easily, so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you for the nudge in that area, because at the table, you nudged us a little bit, and it took us a little while, but we're in full support now. So
I think
thank
it
you, Katie.
worked out better for everybody, I
I
think.
think so.
All right. Thank you. All right.
How many languages do the staff work to translate with?
We're just
It's just Spanish. That works, that works.
I was like, that's a good question. Okay.
Open to others. We're
Yeah,
open to
yeah, we're open
others.
to others,
But right now, really the need is Spanish, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Kane.
Thank you, Katie.
COSAFA President's Report, Ms. Alberti. Okay, moving on to item 8, Information Sabbatical Leave Report, Spring 2024, Dr. Lucerna.
I just want to briefly introduce Mr. John Redden, who is our math professor here, and he says I don't know if you really wanted me to share it. He's been here 27 years, but he said he's only 35, so, he doesn't know how that happened. But 27-year faculty member, and he was on sabbatical. He's one of the sabbaticals that you approved for spring 2024. And it's going to be an interesting presentation because his work was on AI at Georgia Tech University. So he's getting some additional education and ready to come back and share some best practices with us and hopefully start some classes on AI here at COS. So welcome, John Redden.
So you said there was monkey wrenches in the financial side. That's your problem, actually. On the pedagogical side, there's monkey wrenches as well. And it's AI. And it's coming fast and it's coming quick. And so part of my sabbatical was to get myself up to speed and try to guide the transition. I think it's going to be ugly. So that's where I'm at. Spring 2024, you approved a sabbatical, and I want to kind of make sure that you get value out of that. We get value for our students. So I want to start here with my previous sabbatical. I've had 2 sabbaticals in my career here. My first sabbatical was 2006. I wrote an algebra study guide. And then since I've digitized it, and I created a website, a pretty popular website, openalgebra.com. And then since that time, I created a YouTube channel around that. And we're up to something like 5 million views. You can see the little chart there. 5 million views, 81,000 hours of views, and 13,000 subscribers. Look at the little chart. You see the spike in usage? What do you think that was?
Lester?
AI?
COVID. So this is,
Are you using AI now?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
But this last sabbatical actually has some legs, and I really wanted to show you the value that we got out of that.
yeah, well,
And it was a basic math study guide, and COVID really, the need really hit that time. And so all those videos on YouTube, ignore the dollar amount, but I'm actually a paid YouTuber.
wow.
And that gives me some cred with my Gen Z students. So that in itself is worth it. I don't know if I can do this in 5 minutes. So the second bullet point is my motivation. In Friday Night Lab, if you've heard of our Friday Night Lab offering, we've been tinkering with AI for many, many years. But it's just been tinkering. And as with all of us, we got hit with the ChatGPT moment. The generative AI, I think, really hit me hard. And I realized, 20 years ago, it says I'm a math teacher, mathematics teacher, but I'm also a computer science teacher. In mathematics, the division algorithm's been the same for 1,000 years, and I don't think it's going to change. But in computer science, it's all changed out from under me since when I went to school. So we had object-oriented programming, and I kind of missed that boat, and I had to teach myself that, which enabled the open source revolution. And then the generative AI, that was beyond my capability of doing it myself. So I had the opportunity to join the AI Institute, AI for Optimization, which is a consortium between Georgia Tech, USC, and UCLA. It's one of 25 AI institutes, which is NSF funded. I don't know how the funding is today, but the act was the National AI Initiative in 2020. And so 25 AI institutes. I joined one of them in the higher education team. The AI Institute at Georgia Tech is not really for education, but to get the funding, they had to have an educational component. And so I'm part of that. We're small. So I'm part of that, and I'm actually the community college representative on that team, which is good that they're actually considering us. And I take that seriously. And I joined that in 2021. I was cohort 1, and I've been going to Georgia Tech for the last 3 or 4 years for a month in June. Have you ever been to Georgia in June? Yeah, it's kind of tough. But yeah, for the last few years I've been going there and working with the team. And when I finished, certainly they encourage us to apply for sabbaticals and continue. Many of the professors there also teach in the program that I'm going to talk about. And you guys approved it. So by approving that sabbatical, we get on their list of partners. So that's going to give us hopefully guaranteed transfer in the future. We're working on it. But currently, I'm going back. I'm mentoring cohort 2, and I'll be going back this summer to mentor cohort 3. Our charge is to train the professors around the nation and create curriculum for data science to bring these classes to higher education, because we are behind. Not only are we behind, it's an enormous mess. Everybody's across the nation, all the colleges are doing different things, and it's not standardized. So that's our charge, and that's what I've been working on. As the sabbatical, I applied for and got accepted to the Georgia Tech bullet number 4, the data science program there. Be careful what you sign up for. Seriously. Top 5 nationally ranked data science program, 100% online. You can complete it in 24 months. The same faculty as the on-campus program, and it's cross-disciplinary. On my sabbatical, I took 3 classes. I had to get special permission for that. Just like our students, when we have 3 STEM classes, we get nervous, right? So I took 3 classes, had to get special permission, and I got accepted, and I'll tell you, yeah, it was a lot. So on the back side, this is the grid. These are the classes that we had. Often people ask me, is the program worth this? Do you recommend this? And I'm like, You can see here, it's cross-disciplinary. It's a lot of basic skills. So when I started the program, I wanted to jump into the fun stuff, right? The generative stuff, the ChatGPTs. But of course, you got to have the basic skills, as with anything. And not only that, this is a practitioner program, not a research program. So you can see there in the MBA classes, the business classes that they're making us take. That's one of the biggest hurdles that they're running into is businesses want to incorporate AI, they don't know how. The AI practitioners, they want to help, but they don't know the words. That domain knowledge is the biggest sticky point of the whole process. So at Georgia Tech, they're trying to get their program up to speed with the domain knowledge and the business classes. So it's definitely cross-disciplinary, which is kind of a neat thing to see, actually. But a lot of it's basic skills. At this point, I'm on the end. So I'm in the fun classes finally, the bottom corner, taking the generative AI classes. But even then, it's dated. AI is moving so fast, like so fast, that these programs, there's no way a college program can, even at Georgia Tech, can possibly keep up. So this gets us up to about 2019. So keep that in mind if you want to recommend the program. It is a lot of basic skills. And then down at the bottom, you can see instead of a dissertation, we have a practicum. And so they want us to create a practical project at the end, where a lot of these projects turn into startups, and they encourage that. I'll be working on, I've been thinking about it. I'll be working on the Chancellor's Office. They have a data mart. And I've already done a couple projects focusing on online classes post-COVID and trying to find patterns and, just trying to find something in there to see like maybe why or how we're going to have to deal with the online moving forward. Initial results, COS is like, we're doing really well. Not really well. Okay, I take that back. We're doing really well. I have it broken down to schools, a cohort of schools that doesn't do so well, average, and does maybe too well. We're right in the middle. We are the sweet spot, my preliminary results. So that practicum is coming. I don't know if my 5 minutes is going fast. But it's gone. I know, sorry. Bullet number 5, I'm almost done.
No, you're good.
The COS value add. When we give a sabbatical, I want to make sure that I create value for our students and that it's worthwhile and we can continue such a program, because over the years I've enjoyed professional development and academic freedom here, and I totally appreciate that, and I thank you guys for that, and I want that to continue. So the value add, my goal is to, just as stated in the Academic Senate, my goal is to guide, is to be a part of the changes that are coming. I want to guide the changes. I want to be there. Instead of complaining about AI and that I can't use my tests from the past or whatever, we're going to have to change. And we're going to have to change kind of like a lot. Our learning objectives, our student outcomes, the changes are going to be big. And they have to be. We cannot continue with, we could try to continue the way we're doing it, and it's coming fast. The skills are changing. It says there, future employers expect employees to be proficient with the AI tools. Not only proficient, it doesn't say there, productive. Employers are expecting you to be 10x productive now. And if you're not, you're one of the ones that are going to be fired out of the Department of Education. Because with AI, you can be much more productive now. But to be more productive, you got to know the tools. And so you can't really see the graphics so well there. It says to use, understand, and evaluate, right? These new tools are so powerful. There's tremendous value. And we need to know how to use them. We need to tell our students that they need to know how to use them. And we've been doing that in Friday Night Lab. So I bring AI literacy talks to our Friday Night Lab and elsewhere. I've developed new curriculum. We have a brand new Python course. And I'm slowly working on getting a data science program here at COS. It's kind of hard, but we're working on it. Yeah. And then also currency and computer science, real-world examples through the AI Institutes. I go to talks throughout the consortium. I've been to Berkeley, USC, Georgia Tech quite a lot to see what the modern applications are. The big application is, at AI for optimization, is energy grid distributions, where to put energy and when. Yeah, it's a very analog manual process right now. And with AI, it goes quick, but you have to trust it. Okay, and then recognition and impact on the campus, real world examples. I can bring those into my classes and build a new department here. Okay, so moving forward, I plan on completing the degree and leveraging this to help guide the changes moving forward. And so that's it with that. Any questions?
I only have a comment. You're giving me flashbacks of my bachelor's degrees in management information systems, so I was required to take a artificial intelligence course.
How long
and
ago?
25 years ago. So back then we were
That's
talking,
pretty good.
back then we were talking about FedEx and UPS and their
Supply
use-
chain.
Yeah, and knowledge-based AI. And so when you made the comment about how rapidly it's changing, AI was different 12 months ago than it is now, and it's amazing how quickly it's exponentially changing. So thank you for the work that you plan to do or have been doing to make sure that our students are on chart with that. So thank you.
And to play on that, you know, AI's been around for a long time. What's different is the generative AI. Generative AI has really changed the game. There's nothing, it can program, it can write, and people say it can't do math, but it can do math. Any math that we have here at COS, it can do. We're actually benchmarking final exams in our Friday night lab. And so, yeah, and so big changes are coming. And also I want to point out the online offerings. It's kind of neat to be a student on the online side to see what technologies they're using and how the student interacts with the online class on the other side. That's been completely invaluable. And I've got ideas there to make some changes.
My task were to create a programming for like a vending machine, JavaScript. And now imagine, I'm curious what they do now because I'm programming a vending machine in my courses. I'm sure
So
that's
in the past, we would
extremely
use
rudimentary.
the Java language to do that. In computer science, the ultimate goal was to create a language that you can compile to all different systems. One language to rule them all.
Sure.
And it never happened. We got Java, we got Objective-C, we got C++, all these different languages that you have to
Cobalt.
learn in computer science. It's
Back in the
overwhelming.
70s.
But we're converging. You see what's happening. We're converging to the ultimate language to rule them all. It's not going to be Java. It's going to be natural language. Just describe what you want, and you get the code for it. You think that's sci-fi? That is not. That's today. That's last week with Claude Code came out, the Claude Code agent. I set it loose. I described the app that I wanted, something that would have took me probably 3 or 4 days, and it got it done in 30 minutes. I did have to give it my credit card because it costs API calls. And when you give an AI agent your credit card, you go from like 100 miles an hour to 0 in skepticism. But in 30 minutes, it created the entire app for $5 in API calls. So that's today. You know, that natural language is going to be the language to rule them all. I sincerely believe that.
My curiosity is more, and I understand in terms of how, creating, codes and apps and whatnot, and how, but my curiosity is more of how it meshes or how it helps other disciplines like sociology, psychology, those that are more nuanced, if you want to call it, more
Sure.
where there's more of that, human experience side of it. And so how do you see, AI kind of helping?
Well, hopefully it can, enhance those type of workers. But I would just point you to Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. AI is particularly attuned to finding patterns. And there's patterns in human behavior. And it can find them really well. And it can feed you what you want. It can feed, it's attuned to humanity. I believe that, and that's today. So it can only get better. But the other side, too, is on that end, it's never been easier to do data science and be, data-driven in your work. But that's, I think, our last hope. Our last hope is our actual humanity, how we treat each other, the way we work together, and the companionship, because we are being outclassed for our work product across the board. And so anything with humanity, like would you want to give your child, like a kindergartner, to an AI teacher? Probably not, right? You want that humanity, you want that human connection. So that's my hope. I am retiring soon, so these new people that you were talking about, good luck. But I think you hit on it. The humanity part is just sort of what we got left, or what will be left after this all plays out.
Bet you never have trouble filling up your classes, do you? I mean, I would think that you're really popular.
It's my dean right here. I'm nervous today because my dean, I'm usually a little more animated. I want to see Mr. Zumwalt. Where is he? I got nervous. Flashbacks.
John, thank you for your presentation. I think I would say that, yes, we did get value. And if we could replicate your enthusiasm over all those faculty that are being tenured, I think our students are going to be well served.
Yeah, I hope so.
Moving on to above base resource allocation 2024, 2025, Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. You're all very familiar with the above-base resource allocation process. Requests, first of all, these aren't ongoing funds. They're one-time funds over and above what your annual budget in a department or division would handle. So if there's some piece of equipment that you can't afford on every single year, you can apply through program review, put a need in there. The budget committee reviews those, prioritizes those, and we always try to set aside funds. Normally it's in the $300,000 range, and the budget committee, you can see, prioritize these. I think we ended up with 30 requests, 19 from academic services, 9 from student services, a couple from administrative services, and President's office, which includes HR, marketing, and the foundation. We didn't have any this year. A total of 22 were prioritized above the spending threshold. And I think it came in about $295,000. Looks like on page 3, we begin totaling up those. You can read them for yourself, but there's a couple of big ones in there. We're going to allocate $50,000 to upgrade the sound system, long overdue, in the COS theater. We've got a few items for our district police, a big one for our ag technology program, a dynamometer. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, but that was $32,000. Some hot plates in chemistry, $17,000. Anyway, it looks like all money well spent. There were 8 requests that totaled $152,000 that were not funded through this project, but as you've heard before, anything that's not funded through the above base project gets forwarded to a couple other funding sources, and we do a pretty good job of either taking care of those through other funding streams or keeping it on the list for the future. You can see on the last 2 pages, we itemize those 8, and we show some possible funding streams there.
I think the foundation, I think you have that there. The foundation picks up a bit of these as well.
Yes.
100,000 or so?
Yeah, they have a budget for it. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but.
They do, and that whatever the foundation puts forth doesn't just pay for the ones that weren't funded here. Conceivably, you could, as a division, you could not run a request through program review, which gets it in this queue. you could go straight and only to the foundation with the request. So the foundation would be they'd be reviewing these as well as others that came in from kind of other directions in our process. But yes, the foundation is one of those possible funding streams. At any rate, this is for information only tonight, so we're not looking to take action, but just wanted to present it and answer any questions that you may have on it. Special thanks to Vice President Perez and the Budget Committee, which is a inter-district group of faculty, staff, and administrators that read a lot of program reviews and help prioritize these, and they did a nice job this year. Thank you. Any questions for me?
Yes, so these projects or this money is basically for projects that will be happening, or like, for example, like the equipment in lab, it hasn't been purchased yet?
Nope, they get the okay right about now, right, Ron?
They'll get the okay in March. They'll have through June 30th to spend, which is a very short time for the fiscal year, but if they can't spend it by June 30th, they get a year, an extra year.
They request it.
I was hoping my fellow trustees would be able to watch Shrek loud and clear with the new sound system, but you'd have to wait a year.
Well, if I hadn't just told you we needed a sound system, I don't think you'd be able to tell, because it's still, there's not a nicer place, with the exception of maybe Fox Theater, LJ, not a nicer place in Tulare County to listen to a concert, or take in a play, so. That project will take a little time, just it's not just like buying a microscope where you take it home and use it. That sound system will take a little time, probably this summer, to put in place.
Any other questions for?
Just a clarification, I think I'm mixing acronyms in my mind here. On the next to the last page, the Learning Resource Center, that's different than which is LRC, that's different than was it ERC or the new facility?
ESS.
ESS, thank you.
Get your acronyms straight.
I know. It was,
Educational Support Services
Right,
Building is
right.
that one, yes,
Thank you.
right. And then the LRC is a Learning Resource Center that houses, the library is the biggest occupant of the LRC. Thank you.
No other questions. Moving on to item 3 of information, procedures for board members requesting board agenda items. Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. This is something we've been talking about. Trustee Diaz has requested maybe just a little more clarification on how things get put on the agenda, and I think there's probably some tweaks or modifications that we can make to BP 2340 or Administrative Procedure 2340. Board members asking for items to be put on the board report is very similar, maybe the same as the general public. There's a kind of a time schedule that's spelled out here, and then once it comes in, it's reviewed by the board president and I to be placed on there. I guess the biggest thing, and I want to open this up. I'd like Trustee Diaz to comment on it, and then maybe our board members, just maybe the best way to go about this. The main thing is about halfway down on page 1 of the board policy, where it says members of the public may place matters directly related to the business of the Sequoias Community College District. That's really the key, I think, talking to other superintendents and so forth, just making sure that the matters that we're reviewing are matters directly related to the business of the SCCD. And so we want to just make sure that we do continue to keep, and I'm not suggesting that we're not, but we want to keep the main thing and not swerve, too far off the beaten path with matters directly related to our business. But, once a member of the public or a board member were to make that request, then it needs to go on the agenda. I think either in statute or maybe even here, it does specify that it would be listed after the normal agenda that we put together. And board members could do one of two things. It could be added exactly as it's written, and board members could review and vote on it that night. Or I've talked to some districts that will put the requested item on, again, last after the regular action items. And then the board can review and talk about it and take action on whether or not they want to see it for action the next board meeting. So you guys can figure that out. It's not done one way the same everywhere. But I don't think this is uncommon to have a little more direction. And it would help, I think, me and whoever the board president is as well, just to kind of know how the board would like to see these come in. So for instance, if one of you had something you wanted to be discussed by the board, and it was a matter directly related to the business of our district, would you want to see it, and we'll decide this, but would you want to see it on that next board agenda to take action on? Or the actual content itself, or would you want it on the agenda to take action, to see it for action the next time? There's kind of two ways that districts look at it, and I don't know, Connie, if you would like to elaborate on that and maybe clarify if I'm not quite getting it right, but that's kind of been my research thus far, is kind of two choices to make. You know, do we put it on there and just take it for action at the very next time, or do the board members get to weigh in and say, well, that's not quite directly related to our business, or it is, and yes, we'd like to see it at the next board meeting. Kind of what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So for me, it's more of having a more written clarification in terms of how we as board members can place an item on the agenda, because I feel like the current policy can be a little bit vague. And so, yeah, I actually, think I could offer some options. One, what you were talking about is to place a section on the agenda that would allow trustees to request placing an item for consideration at the next board meeting with a consensus of the board. And the second option would be, for a trustee to submit in writing to the chair and superintendent the agenda request for placement on the agenda for consideration by the whole board. Actually, I have a third option, and that would be that the trustee brings an item up during the board member reports of the agenda and request consensus on having it placed at a future meeting agenda. And so just wanting to have a bit more clarification in terms of the process, to be able to, if one of us brings up any idea, in terms of, and obviously definitely it being related to the business that, that we're dealing with. And so, yeah, and that's, sort of just my, my request, just having a more clarified policy. And I know I had requested one at the first meeting, and, I just thought I'd bring it up again because I had not received anything in writing, so.
Okay. And we probably have maybe a form to fill out, I think. It wouldn't be an exhaustive form, but I've seen districts that will have like a form stating kind of what it is and how it relates to the business and so forth. That would be kind of the process. And your third option might be, I think we've all sat on boards, maybe not elected boards, but we've all sat on boards where one meeting will, towards the end, they'll say, okay, do we have any future agenda items that we'd like to see? And I think that's what you're alluding to with your option 3, right? Maybe at the end of our regular board meeting after action, we'd have, okay, do we have some future board agenda items we'd like to review or something like that? Thoughts, other board members?
Just as you were presenting there, I wrote some things down. I think regardless, in my mind, regardless of the requester, doesn't matter if it's me or if it's, anybody else, if the chief wants to, or somebody coming in or a student. I think we need to maintain a approval process still that would likely be the superintendent and board president to go through that screen. Is it really the business of the college, or is it John's, axe to grind, right? Because that I shouldn't be able to bring that up in this forum. So that's one point. My experience, and we all have experience, is that either the president, superintendent, or the board president, or any two members of a board, that's been what I've at least experienced in other elected boards that I've sat on. Doesn't mean that that's the right way to go, but that's certainly a consideration. And I think that, being two members of the board, that one in particular implies that there's some sort of support on it. It isn't just John out there going, hey, I want to do that, and nobody else is really thinks it's a good idea. So that might be one consideration. In terms of taking action or not taking action at a meeting where it's first seen, I wouldn't personally be in favor of making an assumption of whether it should be one or another, because we can, in any given item, we can say, vote to table that till the next meeting or 2 meetings, an hour, or whatever. So we always have that ability to do. It might be more of a determination by yourself and the board president in the development of the agenda as to how mature is that. It's not quite baked yet, so let's put it on as an informational item, or, we'll put it in the action item, and if the board wants to take action, they will. So those are just some thoughts.
My thought is that if you have an item that's on the agenda, we should be able to vote on it that night or table it and move it to the next one. I think that's pretty much what you were saying, so.
Well, I think we always have that option, right?
We do, don't we? I don't know.
I mean, unless it's an informational item, we have.
Well,
we
I'm talking
have
about
the
new
right.
items that are not on the agenda or were brought up.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to, though. That you should have the right to go ahead, and the board should be able to decide, yeah, let's go ahead and vote on that tonight. No, we need to move this to next month's agenda, so that's.
And then how about if there was time at the end of a board meeting, if we devoted time where we'd say, board members, are there items that you'd like to see on next month's, in addition to kind of the normal run-of-the-mill business items that you normally see in April? Are there other items that you would like to see? Then you guys can kind of, in open session.
Get a consensus, right, as
Yeah.
to whether that moves to an agenda item.
Correct.
Sometime in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not opposed to making some sort of change in comparison to what we have. I mean, I haven't had an issue with it before, but I'm not opposed to change.
I mean, I was inclined to even the third option being at the end of the agenda, board president or the president asking the board members about future items. The only thing I was wanting to learn more about is if we could offer that same opportunity for members of the public. If there's a member of the public that wishes to add something or make something of consideration to the board, that they have the opportunity to do it as well, because while I sit as the chair or the president of the board, when I'm not in this position, I understand that my role, I have no no more authority than any of you on the board. We have authority as collectively as a group. And so from what I've read and just even counsel, that all of us independently have no authority. We're, in a sense, members of the public as well. And so I want to be able to afford members of the public to be able to have that same privilege or opportunity. So I'm just curious how that would work if we were to do it for, at the end of the board meeting, for board members, how would we do that for members of the public?
Well, members of the public, according to our board policy, they do have the ability to do that in writing, 13 or 14 days ahead of the next board, and so we might just want to.
Keep that.
Yeah.
No, keep that, but if we're gonna move towards, at the end of a meeting, will they also have an opportunity to ask the board to consider an item for the agenda?
I think so, but just to be consistent with what we already have, is we would just have whatever form we have, we direct them to that form. They could fill it out there, and we'd have it even 2 weeks earlier than we'd have it. You know, they're required to have it, I think it's 14 days?
Could we ask the
13th.
board members to complete that as well?
Probably, I mean, that could be something that we certainly look at. We'll take a stab at this. I don't think we throw this entirely out, because
I'm not suggesting that, just where if it's impromptu at the end of a meeting without any prior knowledge, that the public have that same opportunity as well.
Yeah.
But if everyone has to submit something 14 days in advance, but it gets brought up at the end of the board meeting, then it would seem the same.
And as representative government, you know, they always have, and we should encourage them to go to, you know, any member of the board to champion that particular cause as well.
Or a call to the president superintendent,
Right.
right?
Sure.
I mean, that's where you should start. So I would say, would you, how about we direct staff and come back with some version of these three options we talked about, and we could potentially discuss it at the next meeting and choose the path that we would agree to go forward with.
Sounds good. I'm gonna have
Something that
John Redden help me feed it through AI. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Is that,
Yeah, we'll bring something back in April, but great discussion, thank you.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
okay, moving on to item 9, consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any member of the audience and considered a separate agenda item. Items being minutes of the previous meeting, personnel report, payment of bills, 2024-2025 working budget approval, curriculum, new, modified, and deleted.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar, and very honored that we have some more tenured staff, so thank you so much.
Second.
Motion by trustee Diaz, seconded by trustee Sherman.
Yes.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. 5-0, motion carries. Next, action items, number 9, revision of the College of the Sequoias mission statement. Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. I think you're aware that every 3 years, we are required by our own policy to review our mission statement. We normally, through the District Governance Senate, assign a small task force, soon to be Dr. Arzola, joined Dr. Ozturk, and one of our
Kathy Tolley.
yes. Thank you, Katie. Read my mind. Uh-oh, he's struggling. Better help him. And they did a good job, a really good job of shepherding this project through the process. got a lot of feedback campus-wide. As you can imagine, in this day and time, there were a lot of strong feelings kind of for and against our current mission statement, and for and against this and that. And this group was able to navigate that, take the feedback, use it constructively, build on the current mission statement. Not everyone knows that there are certain components that we have to have in our mission statement as a result of our accreditors and so forth. And anyway, they took a couple of months and got a lot of feedback, read hundreds of comments, and crafted this into, I think, a mission statement that we can all be proud of, that it doesn't shift our focus so much that we have to go back and redo our 10-year master plan and our 3-year strategic plan, but it does, I think, enhance what we've been working under for the last 3 years. Happy to answer any questions you might have about that, but otherwise I would recommend the board approve the revision to the College of Sequoia's mission statement.
I would make a motion for approval.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Nunes, second by trustee Diaz. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0, motion carries. Next, establish the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee and approval of bylaws for College of the Sequoias, Visalia Area Improvement District Number 2, resolution number 2025-01.
Yes, good evening, Board. In full disclosure, I think I put the cart in front of the horse this time because you've already approved the Citizens Oversight Committee in December and January, and the County of Tulare graciously reminded me I needed a resolution, so I'm bringing this resolution to you. Nothing we have to go back and change, but this resolution is establishing the bylaws for the Citizens Oversight Committee. And just for background, again, we passed a bond in '22, $95 million to construct a university center and student union. It's a 7-member committee. Our first meeting of this year will be Monday. We have 6 of the 7. We're just missing the Taxpayers Association, which is always hard to find in any kind of bond, any kind of community college district. So again, Megan, if you just kind of go down some of the bylaws again, their duty as a committee is to ensure that the $95 million is spent only on the approved items that were on the election ballot, University Center and the Student Union. Nothing to do with teacher salaries, administrative salaries. Second, they do our audit every year. They review the audit that we have, that our external auditors come in. And thirdly, they just kind of go and inspect the facilities. They'll walk the grounds and see what's going on. So then every year, the chair of that committee presents to you, the board, an annual report on what they've accomplished that year. Again, it's a 3-year term. Again, 6 of the 7 have been elected or submitted. Our first meeting is Monday. We'll have a citizens oversight meeting of our committee, and they'll get training, as you all got training for on being a board member. They're going to get training on how to be a citizens oversight committee member. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Again, it's approving the bylaws of the Measure C Citizens Oversight Committee.
Ron, are these bylaws pretty much
They're
standard
the
to the
same,
ones
they're the same
we've
that we've
used
had
in the
for
other?
Measure J, Measure
Right.
I, the old Measure C. Only the top part has changed. It
Okay.
talks about the 95 million.
Have you been able to fill in all these spots for the committee?
6 of the 7. The only one that we're missing is a representative from a bona fide taxpayer association, which again, we put out advertisements in the paper. We reach out to the various meetings that we go to, but nobody has stepped forth then.
I move we approve Resolution 2025-01.
Second.
Motion from trustee Sherman, seconded by trustee Lane. Megan, can you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes. Trustee Sherman?
Aye.
Trustee Lane? Trustee Diaz? Aye. Trustee Nunes?
Aye.
Trustee Macarena?
Thank you.
Next, board policies, second read, Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. I've got two tonight. Looks like board policy 5010 and 5015. The first being admissions. And we've taken out references to between 7th and 12th grade and replaced it with at least 13 years of age. That was recommended by the state. And then we've crossed out California state law mandates that every student who applies for admission must provide residency information to determine the student's residency classification for tuition purposes. Taken that out. And then
And that's because it's addressed in the next policy? Is that the reason it was taken out?
Yes, I believe so. And I may have to call on one of our student services folks.
This one is because we went with the California League, gives us the actual language. And so what this says is that somewhere along the line, we either added our own local flavor or was following the league before, but the league has updated their language, so we try to stick right with the league's language on residency.
It seems like it was just kind of the subject of the next
Exactly. It was also
policy too, so it was redundant and potentially conflicting, so pull it out. Yeah, I agree.
So then 5015 is our residency, or residence determination. And we did not make any additions there, except for down in the reference section. There are a few education code sections that either we missed or now include this information, so we included those. Again, recommended by our state League of Community Colleges.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve and move to the second read, BP 5010 and BP 5015.
Second that?
Motion from trustee Nunes, seconded by trustee Diaz. Any additional discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
5-0, motion carries. All right. Again, thank you everyone for being here today. We really do appreciate your time. It is our goal to make sure that everyone is seen and heard and feels valued and respected. So I do thank you for your time, and meeting adjourned.